track, getting hit multiple times. Coming out of that bike section, more drivers coming to blows.
Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning from wherever you are watching. Welcome to Slow Motion Broadcasting for the first round of Season 11 of the American Muscle Series. My name is Adam Thomsen. Joining me in the broadcast booth is the man with so many accolades I didn't have time to write them down because he ripped them off so fast. It's Tom O'Gorman. Tom, we are here at Sandown for the first round of the American Muscle Series Season number 11.
Going to be a lot of fun. One of my favorite cars as we jump right into qualifying as Jeff Schenkel just went to the pole position. A 1:18.9 is the top, but the fastest driver in practice was Taylor Ballant here at the kind of new to iRacing and a little bit of a hidden gem, I would say here, Sandown International Motor Raceway. You see very long straightaways met with kind of complex sequences of corners at either end around the horse track down in Australia in Springvale, if anyone knows where that is. But these cars, so much fun here. Really a perfect car for this racetrack as the curbs are totally usable as long as the car can bounce over them. I mean, classic V8 supercar track, and we're practically racing those here with these Mustangs.
And this almost 2 mile long racetrack, we're seeing lap times just under a minute 20 right now. As Tom mentioned here, Jeff Schnackle, at a 118.977. So he is into the 118s as we ride on board here with Levi Powell as he is completing his qualifying run here. He is going to be on top of the Challenger class and is currently sitting in the top 10 amongst the pro drivers as we now look at David Moore, who currently has a 119.410 through the chicane. We go, and this is going back towards the start-finish line. Can he improve? He will not improve. He actually stops right before the line because he knows he's not going to get any faster. So he will remain fifth fastest. Now to Neil Kemp. Neil Kemp right now showing a 119.491 here as he will come through what is that 7, 8, and 9 here, if I am looking at my track map correctly here. This should be an interesting race, though. It's the first round of Season 11 as now Neil Kemp coming through turn number 13. He knows he's not going to get any faster. He decides to call it a day there. Joshua Wilkie, the lead man here at Slow Motion Broadcasting, part of the American Muscle Series full-time this season, racing in the Challenger class, and he is going mightily slow here as he is currently 19th. He is his last lap time, a 1:20.452. Coming to grips with this Ford Mustang car here, Tom. And what can you tell us about this racetrack in this car combo?
Well, like I said, it's a fairly complex sequence of corners at each end of the racetrack. It's so critical to get onto those longer straightaways. So the lap time is really made in about 3 key corners, I would say, maybe 4 if you really get pedantic about it. But these cars, of course, stick axle with a H-pattern shifter, one of the older iRacing cars in the sense that it was added to the sim very early, but it's been kept up to date, and it's so much fun to drive. This is one of those key corners as we come up onto the front straightaway. This driver here, Josh Wilkie, diving into the pit lane. We won't see that tonight as we have a pair of 20-minute heat races, a main and a feature. Nope, that's not right. A heat and a feature. There we go. For these drivers coming up. The majority of the season, though, are going to be 40-minute races just straight through, either with a combination of no pit stops or 1 pit stop.
Well, it's going to be interesting. Chuck Labano still out there as well. He's running 16th in qualifying right now, a 120.232. Chuck Labano, one of the pro drivers this season.
Right, 3 classes. Go ahead.
Yep, and he is just about to come through here towards the start-finish line, and he will not improve on his time. Tom, how do we break these classes down?
So we got 3 classes on the racetrack, separated by, basically driver skill, theoretical driver skill. So we have the pro class highlighted in green. You'll see the number banners on the windshields and the wing as well highlighted in those colors. Then we have the challenger class right in the middle. Those are the blue cars, also matching on their liveries. And then the AM class in the red machines. You can see quite a bit of overlap. And Adam, as I'm looking up and down this list in qualifying, there were gaps barely a tenth between every single car. Most of the gaps were separated by hundreds and thousands, which, that bodes for some incredible racing.
Well, here we go. The qualifying is done. Now time for heat racing action. Jeff Schnackle is on the pole here for the heat race with, and I apologize if I say this name wrong. It's Andrew, we went through this. Beelan is how you're thinking. Yep. So Taylor Ballant in third, and starting alongside him, Cam Porter in the number 71. Row 3, David Moore and Neil Kemp. Row 5, Levi Powell and Michael Brennan. That was row 4. Row 5 now, Lewis. Oh man, I apologize here. Henriquez, thank you. Brandon Renfro. And row 6, Charlie Hosey and Dale Jackson. Tom, who else is starting here?
Then in row number 7, Mark Cohn and Brandon Smith in the same class. Then your pole sitter, I believe, in the AM category, Andy Bell. alongside Chuck Labano. We'll go through the top 20. Jeff Andrus and Dave Jansen will line up alongside in row number 9. Then row 10, Josh Wilkie and Jay Bast. A standing start with a clutch pedal. You got to get the car off the line clean without too much of a burnout, too much drama. And it's a long, long run down to turn 1 here. We're racing.
Here we go. Green flag flies and away we go here at Sandown. And you can see everybody jockeying for position here as Schnackle will go ahead and take the point here. Will run out a little bit wide over the curbing. And right behind him, Andrew Beelan right now trying to catch him. Porter has moved up a spot into third, getting around Ballant and kept up a spot as well. Everybody figuring it out here because into turn number 2 and 3, that is a nice and tight chicane here at Sandown. So you got to make a move or somehow stay in your lane because a lot of carnage can happen through there as we go further back to Brandon Carl, who's already up 5 positions up to 26 here in the AM class and is trying to chase down Andy Kosick. And Besnard right now has a black flag off the start. That had to be for a false start here, Tom.
Look at this top 2 coming in to complete the first lap. Jeff Schenkel and Andrew Beeling coming through the final sequence, pounding the curbs, but then you have to get up onto this front straightaway. Cold tires, so difficult to put the power down, and then grabbing gears from, I believe, second all the way up through third, fourth, and maybe touching 5th gear onto the front straightaway. That was an incredible start, Adam. We're through the first lap without incident.
Well, yes, we are. Mark Royce has a meatball flag next to his name. Not sure if there was a crash. It looks like that there was. Oh, there definitely was. Big front end damage to the front of that race car. And let's take a look and see what happened. Oh, he got wide and into the grass and boom. Well, that sucks right there. Not how you wanted to start the first round.
Takes Mike Neekum with him as well. There's a spinner back at live pictures here, the number 103 car. This is your pole sitter from the Challenger class with a spin. Damage on the front of the car as well. Does the exact right thing to wait for the rest of the car to come through. But this battle, the top 4 breaking away, and Andrew Beeling is absolutely hounding Jeff Schenkel for the lead.
Beeling going to try and capitalize here. Gets a little bit wide, but so does Schnackle. Right now, right there, he's going to get alongside Beelan, going for it. No, tucks behind as they go through the final chicane in turns 11 and 12. You can see Beelan, he might get a better run out of that chicane here. We'll get the draft, and that's going to be very important here. Utilizing the draft as much as you can, even though these cars probably don't have as a significant of a slipstream, but these long straightaways are going to definitely help. And as they make their run back into turn 1, Beelan is there. He wants to make the move. He is trying to look for that clean air to get through the gap, but doesn't quite make the move into this first chicane through turns 2 and 3. And right there is Cam Porter. Cam Porter getting a perfect view of this battle for the race lead as they go down the back straightaway between turns 4, 5, and into turn number 6. There's just that little bit of a kink in turn 5 here that can mess up a run if you're not careful. And here comes Schnackle right now. Jeff Schnackle is going into turn number 6 here. Just feeling quite comfortable, but feeling the pressure from Beelan.
Yeah, very early days here. Still, again, 2 races tonight, both 20 minutes in length. We're not even 5 minutes in to this first heat. But right now, I'd say everybody looking fairly patient other than Jeff Schenkel, who's running the car a little bit more ragged than everybody else to maintain this lead position. Everyone else mirroring him quite nicely just to maintain contact with him. But haven't seen any moves yet, really, as now Schenkel really nails the exit of turn 12 onto the front straightaway, breaks away from those rest of the field the first time this race. That's a half a second lead and advantage down into turn 1 here, starting lap number 4.
John Casey has crashed out here, as well as Levi Powell. Let's take a look. This is John Casey. John Casey through the final corner, gets a little bit wide and into the grass and hard into the guardrail. And that is enough for the sim to say you need to come in and pit and repair that. And unfortunately, he's actually past the pit entrance here. Here's the Levi Powell crash. Powell, nice camel livery, or somewhat of a camel livery, just got to get over the curbs, then keep the throttle down, and into the guardrail he goes. So in these cars, very fragile, Tom. It doesn't take very much to get into the wall and have to go to the pits for repairs.
No, not at all. And they really do skate around a lot. I would say while the lap time is made on a couple of these corner exits, to be fast, you really have to balance the car with the brake pedal coming into the corners, get it rotating underneath you. It's kind of like the car is sliding in a very vague sense all the time. So you can see drivers just getting that a little bit wrong in the early couple of laps while the tires are cool. The tire improvement over the first couple laps is pretty massive as far as drivability is concerned. Here, moving back a little bit for the podium in the Challenger class, we've got 3 cars nose to tail. Dale Jackson trying to make a move on Brandon Renfro to put himself between the other challengers in his class, Brandon Smith and Mark Cohn. Gets the job done nicely. It gives you a little bit of a buffer for those cars in your class, maybe ease of mind as well.
And now reports Cam Porter has had a problem. He was running in 3rd place, and now he has had an issue. Doesn't appear to be meatball worthy, and he continues on here. We'll get a replay of what has happened here to Cam Porter driving in the number 71 car. Here we go. Let's take a look. Got over the curbs, went a little wide, and that was all it took to upset the rear end of this race car. So, but he was very lucky that no one came through that corner and collected him. And he continues on here, but does lose a lot of spots in the process. Was running 3rd, now down to 9th and behind the Challenger division leader of Charlie Hosey.
Yeah, it was tough too for the other cars just behind in the avoidance. They did a perfect job with it, but Taylor Ballant, Neil Camp, David Moore, etc. lost a bunch of time in avoidance there. They now sit about 5 seconds back from the top 2. That's going to give Andrew Beeling a whole bunch of breathing room now as he continues to remain 2nd position behind Jeff Schenkel. Charlie Hosey leading the way in the AM class. He's the blue and red machine, just 2nd in this shot, and he's got a lot of company from Dale Jackson, I think, just behind.
Well, and now, okay, a little bit of a disconnection there with our line timing. I thought for sure we were going to see Jeff Andres falling down the order. No, he is okay. He's still remaining in that 19th spot as we look at Michael Brennan here in the 135 car. And it's very easy to tell that this car is the 135. Very nice livery, very patriotic, honestly. And here he comes through the chicane, keeps that car nice and steady. Just is not able to make a move. It is very, very difficult to pass here at Sandown. And so we're going to see a lot of guys really pushing hard to try and get alongside, but it's also going to make a mistake to make a pass here as we now look back at Andy Bell in the 118 machine. He is trying to get by Brandon Smith. Andy Bell, one of the amateur drivers this season, and he is right there trying to push forward here. At least Andy Bell's showing a red tag, but his spoiler is blue. So
hopefully he is the class leader for his sake. Otherwise, he's in a really good scrap for just about 5th in the Challenger class. But we'll talk about him as the leader in AM. He enjoys about a 5-car and 5-second lead there to lead the AM category. Back to the front, though, it's only 2.5 tenths between these two. See the draft, not a big factor, but we're coming into a big send type of corner. Get on the brakes early, balance the car on the way in. This is turn 6. Grab a little bit of the inside curb if you can, and then you just got to send it through here. The car's off the ground as often as it is on, and we've seen plenty of drivers get the curb bounce just a little bit wrong. There's another one. Jeff Schenkel with a big wiggle coming off at turn 9.
Schenkel was really pushing the car hard there through that turn 9 complex, and now we're in through turns 11 and 12, and unfortunately there for Beelan, he could not capitalize on what could have been a potential race winning move here at American Muscle Series round 1 here in the heat race. And Andy Kosick with some issues. He has gone off the racetrack, and there is going to be a ton of gravel on the racetrack. Now let's take a look and see what has happened to the number 250 here. Going through the chicane, and into turn number 10 and just went straight on. That is not how you want to see that go down, especially racing side by side, but obviously the brakes just were not helping them there in that situation, Tom.
Yeah, it could have been a lot worse, though, Adam. I think with you mentioned how hard it is to pass here. I'll hold that thought as Andrew Beeling maybe finds the first opportunity, goes the long way around, though, and again is patient. Once again, just kind of lobbing little thoughts at Jeff Schenkel, but ultimately is the one to back out first. Really got a lot of rolling speed into the corner, squares it up. Schenkel taking more risks again with the track limits, just really pushing that car to maintain the lead. You mentioned again how difficult it is to pass. I mean, those two nailed it side by side. It just didn't woe it up fast enough.
Well, Jeff Schenkel will continue to lead here as we are now over halfway done here in our heat race of round number 1 of the American Muscle Series. And you can just tell that Beelan, he is trying everything he can. He's trying everything in the playbook. He tried a little bit of a crossover move, couldn't find a way. Just trying everything he can to try and get around Jeff Schenkel here. But Schenkel just holding the course steady here, has made a couple of minor mistakes, but Beelan has not been able to capitalize. He's taking the corners much better, in my opinion, than Beelan in certain portions of the racetrack, and that's what's causing Beelan right now not to be able to make the move as we go down what is considered a back straightaway. A big wreck in front of the race leaders here. That's John Casey again. His race is done. That was an absolute massive crash as the leaders were coming by, and now through the turns 7, 8, and 9 complex and into turn number 10, and right now Jeff Schenkel still holding on to the lead. Let's take a look what happened here as the leaders were coming by, and it was John Casey. So, okay, that's awkward.
That's a yard sale. I got to guess he was looking at something else on the screen, maybe trying to figure out a pit stop, because there were damage to the right front of that car already, Adam, and I have to imagine he just wasn't paying attention to where he was going, maybe looking at his black box, doing some pit stop adjustments for seeing if he has an auto repair. Here's what the race leaders saw, though. They just see this yard sale, smoke, dust everywhere. What the heck is happening? And finally, they find a way through, but there's still wheels rolling halfway down the racetrack. I mean, that's a scare.
Well, fortunately for the leaders, they were paying attention. They weren't focused so much on each other and are able to get by. Schenkel right now still out in front, and the gap has not changed whatsoever since the drop of the green flag. At about 0.3 of a second, just over 0.3 of a second, separating first and second place right now, as they have been able to gap Taylor Ballant and Neil Kemp for third. Right now, that car of the 21 not able to get any closer here, as we are not seeing very many battles left here in this top 10. Just a lot of single file train style racing. And we are going to take a look here at Charlie Hosey, the leader of the Challenger division right now in the 100 car. And he is trying to make his way forward here. And that is, and I think maybe Michael Brennan is possibly in the Challenger Series too, because he's got that blue spoiler as well. Back to the race lead here. And Beelan has now taken the lead finally here at Sandown. That is exactly what he was hoping for. And we will get a replay of that. What has happened here is they came through the final corner down the front straightaway. Schenkel ran just a little wide here, but Beelan able to get the run down the front straightaway. And folks, we finally have a new race leader after a long time, almost 14 minutes in this heat race. And Beelan is now leading here by over 0.4 of a second.
He got that done early on the straight as well. That was a huge head of steam. I almost wonder if there was a shift missed for Schenkel as well, because that was just a huge head of steam. But either way, to your point about, you know, this train of cars finishing out the top 10, this is really not a racetrack that's conducive to a whole lot of side by side. It really is the kind of lap that you're just kind of driving through the rear, the front windshield of the car in front of you, through getting sight lines the best that you can, and just waiting for small mistakes, maybe adding a bit of pressure right there. I think is maybe where that missed shift might have happened. I just don't understand how else that could have happened. But right now, Jeff Schenkel coming back for the race lead. We're side by side across the start-finish line, dead heat into the braking zone for turn 1.
Side by side into turn number 1. Beelen, Schenkel. And it's going to be Schenkel who gets the move done down the inside of Beelen. But Beelen fighting back, trying to get to that back bumper. Maybe put a bump and run into turns 2 and 3. Beelen can't make the move stick. And now I'm going to imagine Beelen's going to be a little bit frustrated as he goes for a spin off of turn number 4. And Beelen, who did officially lead a lap, unfortunately is falling down the order. Be careful, guys. There's a car stopped on the racetrack who's trying to pull off a 10-point turn, and he finally gets back going again, but he is going to be all the way down at 16th, last of the pro drivers. Absolute shambles here for Andrew Beelen. As we go to Schenkel now, who is just going to be comfortable with this as he has a 1.5 second lead over Taylor Ballant.
Well, I wouldn't call it comfortable yet, Adam, because Taylor Ballant, if you remember, was about 5 seconds down, less than, I mean, we're working lap number 12. That was less than 7 laps ago, eight laps ago. Taylor Ballant has really been on a big charge, and he's bringing Neil Kemp with him to an extent. Now that they're not going side by side, Schenkel may be able to recover this, but he certainly isn't home free. As that gap has been coming down in a massive way yet again on this lap, takes a nearly a full second out, 9/10 faster for the driver in second. Taylor Ballant, again, remember, was fastest in practice here. There's a lot of pace in that number 21 here in the late stages. Only about 4 minutes left in the race, though.
Last lap time for Taylor Ballant and 119.4 for Jeff Schenkel. It was at 120.5, but that was finding side by side. Neil Kemp, though, was the fastest man on the racetrack last time around. That was a 119.318. So keeping an eye on Kemp here. He might want to play spoilers a little bit here within the top 3. Enriquez now, the 4th place runner, up 5 spots here from qualifying. 2.9 seconds down from Neil Kemp. Running in that 4th spot, has a train of cars behind him. All he has to do is just not make a mistake, and then guess what? He'll be in that 4th spot when the checkered flag falls. So got to keep an eye on this. All right, looking back now, we're going to go to Tom Wendt in the 228, our AM division race leader right now, sitting 21st overall. And you can just see he is very, very comfortable as he has quite a gap behind him right now, over 3 seconds, almost 4 seconds behind him before we get to Brandon Carl. But Brandon Carl, who's sitting second in the AM class, right behind Edgar Sancinelli right now, and possibly going to try and make a move on somebody who is pretty important to this race series, Tom.
Yeah, Sancinelli, one of basically the organizer for the American Muscle Series here, starting off season 11. Again, this is a really cool series. I love the league racing that you can find with iRacing, and I think that spin and that recovery from Andrew Beeling is perfect. You know, in a normal sim race, you just throw it in reverse, you'd come back across the track, you wouldn't think anything of it. Someone would hit you, and you'd move on with your life. But here in the sim leagues, you take it seriously. You don't want to ruin someone else's fun. So that was a very safe rejoin, the way you'd see in real life. All of these drivers experiencing that quality of racing, I think, here in the leagues. As we get up the field just a little bit, Jay Bast, I think he had an issue maybe recovering from a bit of a spin through the turns 6 through 9 sequence, or at least a bit of an off.
And Jay Bast right now, also the hard charger overall, and look at him go. He's going side by side here with Labano, and through the chicane they go, and wow, Jay Bast, what a move. What a move that was. Going through the chicane and did not let off the throttle there. So Jay Bast up a total of 9 spots here as we go back to your race leader here. We are going to begin the white flag lap here, this time by Jeff Schenkel, holding off Taylor Ballant. Ballant, 0.7 of a second away, was not the fastest, actually was the fastest man on the racetrack, a 118.921. on the last lap, which is obviously very, very quick here at Sandown. That was faster than what we saw some qualifying times here at Sandown. Actually, it was faster than qualifying.
Yeah, it's fast lap of the race.
Yeah, it's the fastest lap of the race. And here we go. This should be the white flag one more time around here in our heat race of the American Muscle Series Round 1, the beginning of Season 11 of Jeff Schenkel, who has had to fend off Andrew Beelan. Unfortunately, Beelan spun while trying to go back on the charge and now has to hold off against Taylor Ballant at least for another lap. Here goes Brandon Smith. He is into the pits here on the white flag lap. Got to wonder if there's an issue there with his car, because why would you pit on the white flag? Got one more time around. Ballant trying to get there, trying to get to the back bumper of Jeff Schenkel, but Schenkel, who has put on a very good performance here at Sandown in this heat race, through the chicane one final time of race number 1 of the 2 scheduled here tonight, and comes through turn number 9 and will make his way all the way down this pretty short straightaway and into turns 11 and 12. Jeff Schenkel will win the first race of Season 11 here at American Muscle Series. Taylor Ballant in second, Neil Kemp third, Luis Henriquez in fourth, David Moore in fifth. Sixth will go to Michael Brennan. Seventh is the Challenger Division leader, Charlie Hosey. And Cam Porter will finish in eighth after running in third before he spun out. Then Mark Cohn was in ninth. Brandon Renfro, as we look back down to 20th. And that is our amateur class leader, and he will finish with the AM class win here in our first of 2 races here tonight, live on Slow Motion Broadcasting, the American Muscle Series season number 11. Don't forget, folks, make sure you hit that subscribe button and notification bell. So we got plenty of series here on Slow Motion Broadcasting coming up, and plenty more to come here as we hit the middle months of the summer. But congratulations to Jeff Schenkel. Tom, that was quite the drive he had.
Yeah, that was so much fun to watch. And I think if we learned anything from Heat 1 going towards the feature race, it's the same length. It's basically re-rack them, restack them, and run them again. The thing that stood out to me most is small mistakes have huge consequences here at Sandown. I mean, even just the tiniest little mistakes. You saw the cars very easy to spin early laps, very easy to get a bad bounce on a curb, and then there's just so much consequence. I mean, half this racetrack is a street circuit effectively. So we saw all sorts of drama in that race. Really entertaining stuff to kick off season 11.
Let's look at the final results of our heat race here. Jeff Schenkel will be your overall winner and the pro class winner. And Taylor Ballant finishes in second. Neil Kemp in third, Luis Henriquez in fourth, David Moore in fifth, Michael Brennan in sixth. Our challenger class winner is Charlie Hosey, who finishes seventh overall, and then Cam Porter in eighth in the pro class. Ninth goes to Mark Cohn, who finishes second in challenger, and then Brendan Renfro, who finishes 10th overall and in eighth in the pro class. Chuck Labano finishes 11th overall, and Jay Bass, who is the overall hard charger tonight, in 12th. Andy Bell in 13th, finishes third in challenger, and then Andrew Beelan, heartbreak for him after challenging for the race lead, will have a lap led on the statistics, but finishes 14th overall. Tom, who else do we got?
Got Joe Cicchetti just missing out on the podium there in the Frito Sport number 101. Josh Wilkie, good run for him, up 3 spots in the Slow Motion Broadcasting number 200. Then Dale Jackson and Jeff Andrus rounding out our first page here into 19th. Matthew Guzenda, and top 20, Tom Wendt, the winner in the AM category, also for Frito Sport, takes the win there. A couple of cars between himself and the next class competitor, Edgar Sancinelli and Zach Miller in there. Then Brendan Carl, Dave Jansen, Mike Neekum, a good recovery after he was involved in the contact for one of the other spinners very early on. Still finishes within 50 seconds of the overall winner. Laura Weissman, Paul Kentlock, and Andy Kosick will round out our finishers, I believe, here. Then we have some DNFs. No, Brandon Smith did finish as well. And then some races to forget maybe for Jeff Besnart, John Casey, Levi Powell, and Mark Royce, who was out very early. Another race, though, I love these heat races. You get to, like I said, rack them up again. And even if the first race was one to forget, the second one is almost even more fun to try to get back to where you were.
Well, thank you, Tom, for that. Tom, I got a question for you.
Shoot.
You got the rig, the screens, and the passion. But when you're driving into the corkscrew at Laguna Seca, do you feel your pedals like a world-class GT3 car or a toy?
Oh, I would say closer to a GT car.
Okay, well, that's good. But if you don't have that, it's time to upgrade your immersion with D-Nut Stuff. We specialize in high-performance sim racing mods designed to give you the trail-breaking precision and throttle control you've been missing. From our legendary DNX and HVD pedal kits, to custom spacers and clutch mods, we build gear for racers who demand more than stock. Whether you're a casual Sunday driver or daily iRacing grinder, our kits for Fanatec, Simpson, and Huskenfeld pedals are engineered to help you find those extra tenths of a second. Stop settling for good enough and start hitting your marks with total confidence. D-Nut Stuff Sim Racing Gear. Serious mods for serious racers. Visit dnutstop.com and dial your rig today. All right, starting lineup here for our feature. Jeff Schenkel and Taylor Ballant will be on the front row. Neil Kemp, Luis Henriquez in the second row. David Moore, Michael Brennan in row 3, row 4, Charlie Hosey and Cam Porter, row 5, Mark Cohn and Brendan Renfro. In row number 6, Chuck Labano and Jay Bass, Tom.
Yeah, then into row number 7, as we are already racing, actually a short grid, green flag flies and another standing start.
Here we go. Side by side, almost 3 wide, 4 wide, even further back as Schenkel will take back the lead here into turn number 1. But he better keep an eye on Ballant here as we make it through the first corner so far with no incidents to report of. And everybody trying to make it through the chicane now. And it looks like everyone gets through cleanly. What a start there by Jeff Schenkel as he's able to get a little bit of breathing space against him and Taylor Ballant. Ballant, who looks to be just over a half a second behind Jeff Schenkel, and Henriquez right now in third, trying to chase down Ballant as we head back in the back straightaway down towards turn number 6. And you can just see Ballant. He is going to try everything to get closer here than he was in our heat race. He does not want to finish 7/10 of a second down. And we have a lot of red marks on our event list here. John Casey, Andy Kosick, Tom Wendt, all reported with a crash. And we'll take a look at those just right now. This is John Casey. John Casey side by side, gets on the blinders. Oh, and that's a big 2-car collision with, was that Andy Kosick, I want to say. Yes, that was Andy Kosick involved into that one. Just got sideways and nowhere for John Casey to go. What happened to Tom Wendt here? Oh, and looking through again, that was oh, there it is. All right, well, things kicking off here at Sandown, but the racing still heating up between our race leaders of Jeff Schenkel and Taylor Ballant.
Looks like if you get a good start, you can really hack the lap time here as Jeff Schenkel scored with a 1:18.3. That's like 7/10 faster than qualifying, but it's because you start halfway up the straightaway here on these standing starts. Here's the battle for the Challenger class between Mark Cohn and Charlie Hosey. About 5 car lengths between the two of them. Cohn kind of stuck at the back of the train of all the pro cars in the top 7. That 139 is your race leader in the class. Then Hosey right behind. He was your race winner from the heat race just a couple minutes ago. And of all these cars, I think the other really kind of rabbit starter was Luis Enriquez, who got up one position and is now clinging onto the back of the top three. It's a bit of a breakaway for those three, and that was perfect timing for him because he got away from Neil Kemp just a little bit.
Well, looking further back here, Jay Bass, who was the hard charger, has lost a spot, and somebody is around. That's Jeff Besnard, and he will get it spun right back around. And let's take a look. Let's see what happened here. If he just lost the rears or if he had contact or some help. No, he actually pushed somebody else wide, and oh my, that was a very, very close moment here. Might need a change of pants after that one. And Besnard will continue on here without significant damage. Again, looking at this one more time, look how close this was to being a total disaster. Oh man, that could have been a total disaster there. Further back in the pack and gets her spun back around, luckily. And Schnackle has had a problem. He is going down. His car is totaled. Oh my, our race leader is out of this one. Oh my, what has happened here to Schnackle?
Oh.
He was side by side with Ballant going in to the final complex of corners, and oh my, it just got sent off. That car hooked.
Yeah, he lost it right at turn in as soon as he tried to get the car into the corner, pinched a bit by Enriquez. No, Ballant, excuse me. Ballant was on his outside, just lost it on the entry. I mean, that would have been a high score drift in Forza. He was sideways forever and a half, but he just didn't have enough space to save it before it went to the barriers. Looks like it really threw Ballant off as well, as now Luis Enriquez is your new race leader, the number 6 to the top of the scoreboard, and he's got a 7/10 advantage over Ballant. Now Neil Kemp finds himself in a podium position, and he's got a whole train of pro class cars with him. This is pretty much anybody's race at this point with still 15 minutes to go.
Oh my, how things have turned here. How the turntables, they would say here. With Luis Henriquez, now your race leader, Taylor Ballant in second, Neil Kemp third. But keep an eye on Andrew Bellin right now, up 5 spots since the drop of the green flag here. He is considered the overall hard charger right now, but keep an eye on him. He might want to run through this field. He has a 3-second gap between him and the second place runner in the Challenger class, and of Charlie Hosey. Mark Cohn is leading that class category right now, and you can see he is getting hounded here by Charlie Hosey as we go down the front straight away here. And Paul Catlon has now had a crash, and he is fallen back 2 spots since the drop of the green flag here, and he is to the pits as well. So, man, things are really kicking off here at Sandown, and not in the best way possible, as Andy Kosick has had a crash here as well.
It's so tough. You know, you do that 20-minute race. The car basically gets better for the first half of the race with the tire temps and everything. It kind of stays that way, or decently so, in the second half. Then you start fresh again with completely cold race car. It's so difficult to feel at times what the tire's doing. But that's why we've seen these incidents. Luis Enriquez and Taylor Ballant. This didn't work last time. Remember, he got held out to dry just a little bit. This time, though, a commanding move around the outside. Enriquez seems maybe just a bit uncomfortable, backs it down just enough to let Ballant get through in time for the apex at turn 9. We have a new leader.
Well, that was smart by Henriquez. He does not want to end his race, even if it doesn't mean winning this, but watch Henriquez. He got real close there. Great late braking to smell the exhaust pipe off of Taylor Ballant in the number 21 machine here. As we go down the front straightaway, you can see things kicking off, and there's somebody possibly making a move further back here, unless that is a lap car. I would say it is. Possibly not. I can't tell from here. The sun not helping us in that situation. That was Cam Porter and David Moore, as Cam Porter currently up 3 spots into the top 5 here in the pro class. And this is going to get exciting. And there's been a lot of crashes that I'm seeing come across my screen, and I'm curious if our producer is currently trying to gear up some replays. Here is John Casey. John Casey, I mean, that car is pretty much toast at this point. And yep, that's what happens when you beat up a race car pretty good. Now here's Andy Kosick from just a little bit ago. Went through a slide. In Forza
reverse
terms,
entry.
almost, but in Forza terms here, Tom, that was pretty good.
Yeah, I like that. Was like I don't know what you call that, an infinity. Here's a pass, another replay. This is an incident coming shortly. A contact between a couple cars right in the middle of the field. That's Paul Canlin. And I missed the other car number, but that was just a bit of miscommunication, pounding the curbs, and you end up kind of crossing paths, cross the streams, if you will.
Mark Royce, the other car involved. Oh man, that was a big
one.
Impact. That one's gonna hurt. And back to live racing here. Taylor Ballant, your race leader, with Luis Henriquez in second. Neil Kemp, he has been mightily strong here today, holding on to that third spot. Has had to defend and try and attack at the same time, and just can't find a way forward, as we are almost halfway done here in our feature event. And here we go. Henriquez looking down the inside, thought about it, decides, nope, not going to try it here just yet. Going to just try and maybe scare Ballant a little bit into making a mistake as we come through our final chicane here of turns 11 and 12 into turn 13 and down the front straightaway. And you can tell Beelan now, he's gotten closer to the back of this train here. 1.3 seconds away from Charlie Hosey, and Hosey, he's going to feel that pressure here any moment. This is going to get very, very interesting here, Tom, as Beelan would love to get up onto the podium, especially where he was sitting in our heat race.
Yeah, that blue, purple, and pink car has closed the gap up nicely. He's the fastest race car on the track, and basically the only car that's turned a 118. He did a 118.93 last time through, so all that clear racetrack is done in plenty of good value. But now he's going to have a problem. 2 cars out of class to get through before he makes up any positions in class, and it's that great battle between Mark Cohn and Charlie Hosey, who still has not been able to find a way through to make this a 2-race sweep for the evening. Those pair of black cars with the blue banners and blue wings into turn 6, 7, 8, and 9. They've started to lose touch just maybe a tad bit from the top 6 pro cars. But so far, Mark Cohn has controlled this race beautifully, having picked up the lead at the very drop of the green flag in turn 1.
Mark Cohn, the leader of our Challenger class in that 139 machine. I will say, I like how big that number is on that race car.
Yeah.
As an announcer, bigger is the better, so we know who you are. So thank you to Mark Cohn for that. And he is... And we're being told that that was a Kyle Busch tribute scheme. So... But it's nice to be able just to read a number, just pointing that out. So, but Mark Cohn feeling the pressure, though, from Charlie Hosey, and he's going to be feeling even more pressure as Andrew Beelan starts to gain just so much more time, and you can tell that there is a significant pace difference between the 3 drivers. Right now, a 118.8 by Andrew Beelan, and a 119.2 for Hosey, and a 19.1. So there is a couple of tenths difference in our Challenger leaders and Andrew Beelan right now, who wants to be leading this race. And he probably is looking at the fact that Jeff Schenkel did crash here and goes, man, if I would have just stayed in second and not made any errors in my heat race, I would be leading right now. And he is just trying to find a way through. This is a long train of cars of about, it's pretty much everybody from the race leader on down. So a 9-car train that Beelan's going to have to navigate through as we are 12 minutes into this 20-minute lap or 20-minute race side by side for the 3rd spot here. And Brennan thought about getting around Cam Porter, but just can't quite get it done here. And I got a feeling that someone's going to make contact here, because at this point, You want to move up the field, you got to wait for a mistake, or you got to put the bumper to somebody.
Well, they do say history repeats itself, and there has been plenty of that this race. Actually, it was the opposite, Adam. Cam Porter just made the spot up on Michael Brennan. That's up 4 total for the driver in the red, white, and black car, just ahead of us by 2. Then we're staring at the back of the blue and red, Michael Brennan. We're on board with David Moore. Here's another look at that sequence down on the far end of the racetrack, hopping this curb. You're in the braking zone, grabbing 2 downshifts from 4th to 2nd, getting the power down clean. We've seen plenty of space in this section of the racetrack. You really don't have to keep it on nearly at all, as Jeff Schenkel showed us there in race number 1. But I'd say here, as we're getting into the second half and the meat of this race, the average pace really starting to show. Those top 2 have plenty of it. Taylor Ballant leading by 0.4 of a second over Luis Enriquez. Neil Kemp is sort of hanging with him. He's within a second consistently. Take a look back just a little bit further. Here is our AM class leader.
That is Brandon Carl. Good to see him out there. Running good lap times and just staying consistent here. And he has a couple of cars between him and the second place runner of Tom Wendt, who won our heat race earlier today.
Yeah, the numbers next to their name, though, tell a bit of a story. Tom Wendt, look, he's down 6 positions, and that car has quite a bit of damage on the front as well. I have to imagine that this car has been through the wars a bit in this race, and that has left Brandon Carl, the race leader in the AM category. Still has plenty of time, though, does Wendt, to get back. And then now we're looking at, again, that race leader. There's the difference in space between them. Only about 2 corners between the 2. Still time, though, but Wendt's going to need to make it up quick if he wants to get there. And he's still got 2 cars to pass as well. It's a lot of work to do in about 6 minutes.
Well, here's our race leader, Taylor Ballant, who's now starting to get away from the clutches of Luis Enriquez. So this is Taylor Ballant's race to win. Luis Enriquez right now sitting in second, feeling the pressure from Neil Kemp. Neil Kemp, you know, the man has been pretty consistent today. 3rd in our heat race, 3rd here so far. So he just needs to relax and just focus on forward here. So hopefully we can maybe see a +1 position if he can find a way to make a move. Andrew Beelan still up 5 positions and stuck behind a line of cars. If he can just continue his way forward, he would be up 6 positions. But I want to talk about Levi Powell, who's making some waves here. Up 11 spots here, Tom. That's a fantastic progress on the racetrack, even though it's only 21st overall. To make up 11 spots is saying something, as Jade Bass has spun off again. He has dropped so much time. He is, and so many spots after being our hard charger in our heat race. Let's take a look and see what has happened here. And, whoa!
Big tank slapper. Yeah, that curb, I mean, you want to use it coming off of turn 1. You can open up the radius of the corner, but you see it falls away from the racetrack. It's almost negative camber away from where you want to be. Here's a look on board. Feels fine, feels fine. Here's a big hook trying to catch it, and it tank slaps the other way. Big consequences again for a small mistake. But to your point here with Powell, I mean, this is what makes heat racing so fun. With a big variety of formats coming at you this season 11, you get 2 races, you get a chance to redo. You know, Levi Powell involved in the incident in race number 1. Now he gets to start at the back, and every pass feels like a win. He's hoping for another one on Mike Nickham, another driver who had incidents in race 1, lap 1, and nearly involved in another. These two so close together. Powell saw it come and gathered it up with maybe an inch to spare before he had Mustang rear bumper all over his front bumper.
That was close. And there's a possible mistake here. Levi Powell going to try and capitalize on Mike Nickham. Nickham currently holding on to the 20th spot. Now they're going to go side by side as they go down the back straightaway, headed towards turn number 6 and into this very complex set of corners. And Levi Powell makes another move, make it 12 spots gained here in our feature. And we'll try and run away here from Nickham And we'll try and make up 6.7 seconds in the last 2.5 minutes of race time we have here at the American Muscle Series. Mike Nickum, who's also one of the admins here at American Muscle Series.
No.
And that's whoa. Cicchetti having to hold on to it there. Oh man, that could have ended in disaster.
Yeah, that was a battle for the top 5 in the challenger category, and Cicchetti just slipped from the front of it to the back of it, I think. As also in that train, Josh Wilkie, I think he was the other car. Yes, it was just a little bit of contact front to rear between those two. I would say Cicchetti sent it just hard enough to get the contact and spun himself a little bit off the road. Not our call to make necessarily, but he slips himself to the back. Oh, and heartbreak for Beeling. 2 for 2 are going to not go his way. Big incident down at turn 7 and 8. And I think he might have done this all on his own again here in turn 6. Loses the back end at the entry. And I mean, we've seen this happen so many times at this point. You're just along for the ride. The impact is an inevitability.
Couldn't get that car settled down enough going through that complex of corners. And Josh Wilkie and the 150, Matt Gazenda, the 152, having a collision here. We'll have to see what exactly went on here. You can see Gazenda in that white car got a little bit of a bumper. Oh no, they were stopping for other cars that were turned around. What happened? About 5 to 10 seconds earlier here with Josh Wilkie. With Labano, get those two just come together. Now everybody having to take avoiding action, and oh man. Well, everything calmed down for just a moment, but now that we're less than 2 minutes away from the checker flag, well, things start to kick off here as this next time by should be the white flag lap here as we look up to David Moore in the number 13 machine, trying to chase down Michael Brennan. Thought about the move, decides against it, but we go back out to our race leader, Taylor Ballant, who takes the white flag one more time around here at Sandown here on the American Muscle Series. And what a race it's been. It's been chaotic. It's had drama. It's had romance. Everything has been absolutely Hollywood. Absolutely cinematic. Wow, I just tried to make that epic, and I absolutely failed. And you think I don't get paid to talk for a living. David Moore still trying to make a move. I hope guys, if our producer's not here next week, just know that I had nothing to do with it. David Moore going down the back, what is considered the back straightaway here at Sandown, and everything about to come to an end here on round number 1 of season 11. Charlie Hosey holding on strong to that second spot in the Challenger division. Here comes Taylor Ballant, who finished second in the heat. He moves up 1 spot into the race lead after an issue with Schnackle, and here he comes. He will take the feature win. Taylor Ballant wins here at Sandown. Enriquez in second. Neil Kemp will come home to third. Cam Porter fourth. Michael Brennan in fifth. Sixth will go to David Moore, your Challenger Division winner here tonight. Mark Cohn in seventh overall. Charlie Hosey in eighth. Finishes second in Challenger Division. Brandon Renfro in ninth. Rounding out the top 10 here. Up 5 spot, Joe Cicchetti. I'm screwing that one up. I know I am. Dale Jackson in 11th. Chuck Labano in 12th. Jeff Andres in 13th. Edgar Sancinelli finishes 14th here tonight, with 15th going to Dave Jensen. 16th place, Joshua Wilkie. Levi Powell, 15 spots gained here tonight. The official hard charger overall. Levi and for Levi Powell, Mike Nickum will be in 18th. Andy Bell, 19th. Our AM class winner is Brandon Carl on your screens now. Laura Wiseman in the 21st spot. Wow, Tom, that is That was one heck of a good race here tonight. Two very good races that we got to witness here.
Yeah, really entertaining. A surprise to see there at the end, the top 5 really spread out as we watched the battles a little further back in the field. Taylor Ballant, I mean, you got to, right? It's the Mustang. You got to do some donuts to celebrate. Up onto the front straight here at Sandown, and we look towards the rest of the season. I mean, we've got a whole bunch of races. I think if I count, it's about 14, maybe 12 to 14 rounds here in season 11, moving on to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, then the San Diego Street Circuit, Rudd's Kogan. That's a spread of different styles of tracks in itself. That's just the first 4. But the rest of the races for the next about 8 rounds are going to be a 40-minute single race, either with a pit stop or without. So you don't get the opportunity to reset anymore until we get all the way down to Barber Motorsports Park. That's all the way in September, a whole bunch of weeks away. So I think if we learn tonight that these small consequences or small mistakes have big consequences, you're going to have to dial that out of the system, figure out a way to run 40 minutes straight without an incident, or else, we saw what happened.
Tom, look, we've all been there. You're staring at a menu of a sad, cold corporate sandwiches and thinking there's got to be something better than this. At Chiba Hut, we've been flipping the bird to the status quo since 1998. We're not just making sandwiches, we're curing the munchies with the dankest toasted subs on the planet. From our signature White Widow to Kali Mist, every sub is homegrown, toasted to perfection, and served up in a joint where you can actually relax. Need to kill that cotton mouth? We got local craft beers on tap and plenty of Kool-Aid to keep you hydrated. Whether you're stopping in or flying it to your door, we got exactly what you need to stay stoked. Chiba Hut Toasted Subs. Swing by our shop in your area or order online. Chiba Hut. Toasted since 98. Well, let's take a look at our results. Taylor Ballant will take the overall win here tonight with Luis Henriquez in second. Third goes to Neil Kemp. Cam Porter finishes in fourth. Michael Brennan in fifth. Sixth goes to David Moore. Our Challenger class division winner is Mark Cohn. Finishes seventh overall with Charlie Hosey in eighth and finishes second in Challenger. Brandon Renfro in ninth and Joe Cicchetti in 10th. Dale Jackson in 11th and Chuck Labano in 12th. Jeff Andrus in 13th. Edgar Sancinelli in 14th. And rounding out the top 15, Dave Jansen. Joshua Wilkie comes home to 16th. 17th to Levi Powell. And Mike Nickham finishes out in 18th. Tom?
Rounding out the rest of the field, Andy Bell in the number 118. You just mentioned him. Then Brandon Carl is our race winner in the AM category, 77 and 30 Sim Sport. Laura Weissman in 21st. Matthew Guzenda, Zach Miller there in the Challenger category as well. Then we get to Jeff Besnard, Brandon Smith, and Tom Wendt recovers for third in that race, although I don't know if he's going to be as satisfied with that as he was with the heat race, of course, finishing on the lead lap with Jay Bast as well. Then we get to a couple drivers with incidents and races to forget. The heartbreaker of them all, I got to say, maybe Jeff Schenkel there. Winning the heat race, was the first driver to wreck it out of this one, and he did it all on his own, really. But, I mean, you got to give him credit. They were racing absolutely side by side, wheel to wheel, and it's just an easy mistake to do.
Well, that is going to wrap up the results. Congratulations to Taylor Ballant. And now we are going to have a chance to talk to some of our drivers here tonight. We're going to start off with our overall race winner here, Taylor Ballant. Taylor, you're in the broadcast booth here with myself, Adam, and Tom O'Gorman. That race, both races, very, very fun. It seemed like to be out there, but luckily you come home with the checkered flag here tonight.
Yeah, it was a much more exciting race than I thought. I mean, it's super tough to pass around here. Thankfully, in that first sprint, I was able to move up to second. Unfortunate that both Cam and Andrew had a little bit of a problem. It looks like Andrew was pushing really hard to try to get around Jeff there, and that cost him second place. And then starting on the front row, I just kind of bided my time, and I'm not exactly sure what happened between Jeff and I. I don't think I touched him at all, but when we went side by side into that fast left-hander, I was definitely like, please don't hit me, but then screwed up the next corner and handed it to Luis for a second, but luckily was able to get back around him and then run away with it.
It had to feel kind of tight. You're kind of probably gripping the steering wheel just a little bit tighter than normal here tonight, especially with how fast things were happening. But getting that race lead in the feature, did you calm down a little bit, or were you still kind of death gripping the steering wheel?
There was definitely still a lot of. I know Luis; he's a super quick driver and he's a really fast learner on a track. So I knew having him behind me, he would be watching my lines and looking for an opportunity. I was actually surprised towards the later half of the race when I started to pull a gap on him. It looked like maybe he started to just push a little too hard or something. But I thought he was gonna mount another attack on me there. So I was definitely still gripping the wheel there for the first part of the second half of the race. But then after I got that little over a second, 1.2 second gap, I started to breathe a little bit easier.
Anything else, in this race? I mean, you mentioned it. It was tough to pass, and you almost had to wait for somebody to make a mistake to just make a single pass here tonight.
Yeah, I think that, there are some good opportunities. The back straight's super tricky. I was double, thinking twice the whole time going side by side with Jeff, where we had the little incident there. It honestly was like, man, I don't know if this is going to work. Should I back out of this? I don't know what. This is not, that doesn't feel like a good passing opportunity. The front straight's probably the best one. If you can get a good run out of that final corner and the other guy doesn't get it just perfect, getting a run down to turn one is probably your best bet for a pass. But yeah, otherwise it's just a super technical and tricky little track, especially that downhill into in the back there down to turns 6, 7, 8, 9 there. That's a really technical, high speed into hard braking section that, it just makes you grit your teeth every time you're coming in there.
Next week we head to Mid Ohio with with the chicane and no pit stop. 40 minutes flat out around Mid Ohio. That is going to be very difficult to not have to make a pit stop.
Yeah, Mid Ohio can be a tire burner for sure. There's a few corners there you can lean way too hard on your tires. So that'll be an interesting one, carrying around that much fuel for the whole race and trying to conserve tires. But I usually like Mid Ohio pretty well, so looking forward to it.
Anybody you want to thank for getting yourself on the top step of the podium here tonight?
Yeah, huge shout out to both my mom and my wife. I know they both usually watch the races. I think they're both in bed tonight, but they'll watch them later. Don't worry, they'll get that broadcast on too. And huge shout out to everybody in the league for coming back this season. I'm happy to be the reigning champ and hoping to make a run at it again, but looking forward to some great competition here this season. And a big shout out to all my stream viewers over on Megabyte 2121.
Well, thank you here, Taylor, and you have a good night. We'll see you next Tuesday night.
Thank you, guys.
Taylor Ballant, our feature winner here tonight. Now, I see Michael Brennan is in there, and he finished in 5th in the pro class, but I bet he is officially our challenge class winner. Michael Brennan, our challenge class winner here, joining us here. You finished 5th overall tonight. That's got to feel good, especially with how competitive that challenger class is going to be this season.
Yeah, wasn't exactly part of the plan to finish first in class and 5th, but, whatever works for me, that'll do.
How was the racing out there? You were stuck in the middle of a 9-car train at one point. It just seemed like trying to make a move was going to be nearly impossible.
Yeah, I kind of just worked on the fact that I was never going to be confident enough to make a move, and everyone in front of me was pro, so it didn't matter if I did make a move. So I just thought I'm just going to stay here, hold my line, and I think I had Cam behind me for a while, and then David had a bit of an issue coming down the straight, and he got behind as well. So I just had that one car between me and the other challengers, and I'm like, I'm just happy.
Well, that's got to feel good, especially being in Sandown. It's such a difficult track. It's a high-speed racetrack too. But what else can you talk to us about this race tonight?
I mean, I've got to admit, up the front, it was actually pretty calm and collected because I only think had 5 or 6 cars in front of me at any stage. So it was just a bit of a train, which was actually quite comfortable to be in because you kind of know there's only really 2 places you're going to pass, Dandenong Road and Turn 1. And so long as you just covered both of them off, you're pretty safe. So in terms of the driving, it was just hitting the marks, staying consistent, and just being safe. Don't do anything dumb.
Anybody you want to thank for the class win here tonight?
I'm only going to say this because normally I don't do any form of practice through the week. I normally just rock up on Wednesday, learn what track, well, it's Wednesday for me, Tuesday for you, learn what track I'm on and just go for it. Because I have a couple of guys from my Australian league, Dave Jansen and Paul Cantillon, I actually did some practice, and it's amazing what that apparently does. So
Well, congratulations. Well, congratulations, Michael. Anybody else, any sponsors or anybody you want to thank?
Well, we just race under Maunz, Miss Apex Racing, so they're our main sponsor, which is basically myself. And yeah, that's and other than that, AMS were putting it on, and YouTube. I don't know if it's the same guys that normally do the commentary, but last season, all the races, the commentary was fantastic. So I'm going to go watch this one after, and I'm assuming it's going to be the same. So cheers to you guys as well.
Well, congratulations, Michael. We will see you next Tuesday at Mid-Ohio.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Michael Brennan, our Challenger class leader. Winner here tonight. And we'll talk to our amateur class winner here. If I can get Discord to cooperate with me. Here we go. Brandon Carl here, our AM class winner tonight. Brandon, that's got to feel good to get off the season right with a class win here, especially around a difficult track like Sandown.
Absolutely. I didn't have any practice for this race either. I wasn't sure if I was going to show up because I was supposed to work tonight, but I never got called in yet.
Well, that's got to be great, not getting called in to work, get to race a Ford Mustang around Sandown and getting the class win. What was the racing like out there?
It got a little argy-bargy at the beginning there. I had a good start both of those races, and then just hoping I wasn't going to get collected in anything, and I somehow made it through, and I just had to drive my own race there and just let everybody fight amongst themselves, and it worked out perfectly. I think this is actually the first AM win I've had an AMS where it has not been shrouded in controversy either.
Well, that's always good as well. Things are going your way here tonight. Next week, we head to Mid-Ohio with the chicane.
My home track.
Your home track,
Oh, really?
But
Yes.
it's
Mine too. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
It may be your home track, but it's the one with the chicane. The track layout's the chicane layout, and it's 40 minutes with no pit stop. Are you feeling confident about next week getting through all 40 minutes and coming home with another class win?
I think I can. I do feel confident because the next 2 weeks I will actually have those off for work here. So after that, I don't know if I'm going to be able to show up for the rest of the season. It'd be 11th hour decisions every week. But yeah, I think I've maybe ran one race on the chicane layout because, like I said, that's only used on a club basis, and I think I've maybe only been to one real life event there at Mid-Ohio where they've actually used the chicane. But yeah, it sets up the keyhole a little differently, but other than that, you're still going to get that long run down the straightaway and just trying to set up for a pass in turn 4, because after that, you're basically just follow the leader the rest of the lap there. Maybe you can get them in turn 11 or turn 12 right before the start finish line. But other than that, yeah, I feel confident. Like I said, Mid-Ohio's my home track. I was just there last Sunday for the IndyCar race.
All right. Well, congratulations on the win. Anybody you want to thank for the class win?
Oh, absolutely. Thank Frito Sport, Edgar Sancinelli. He's been wonderful taking this league over from Randall McGrew. Shout out to Randall McGrew. I wonder what he's doing one of these days. But I'll shout out my Twitch channel. I might or may not get back to streaming. www.twitch.tv/BCXCarl. It's www.twitch.tv/BCXCarl. Shout out D-Nut Stuff. I have a couple of their koozies, and I actually have their brake mod for the Moza brake. I have the little squishy cone thing that he makes. Shout out to the Sim Pit there, Sean Cole. He's one of the OGs of sim racing. And that's about it here. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week at Mid-Ohio.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Brandon Carl, our M-Class winner here tonight. Tom, how do we describe this one in just a few words?
Well, I think this was a race that you're racing each other, but also the racetrack. And I think some of these drivers are looking forward to a race. They don't have to think about the racetrack nearly as hard. Some more traditional stuff coming up in the future weeks. I hope to be back. I'm a sub this weekend, but maybe or this weeknight, but maybe I'll be back at some point to join you here, Adam. This is a lot of fun. This is a cool series. These drivers are in for a good season.
Well, thank you so much for stepping in tonight on the very first round of the American Muscle Series. And it's been a pleasure. And yeah, I have, so I have some things I can introduce you with now as well. So one of them is irrational hatred for iRacing GT4 cars. I like that one.
It's the most rational thing in my life, I think. I do want to say real quick on the closing out here for Michael Brennan, we had that little technical issue that scored him as a pro driver. He showed the Challenger livery. We didn't say he was the winner nearly enough. We didn't say he was the leader nearly enough. Michael Brennan did a great job to win the Challenger class.
Yeah, yes, he did, finishing in the top 5. Well, what do we got coming up here at Slow Motion Broadcasting? Well, tomorrow night, we have the Street Night Racing around Road Atlanta, and then that's at 7 o'clock Eastern. And then we have SRG that will be on tonight, I should say, at 10:20 p.m. Eastern. That actually should be underway in the next minute or so. That's the SR Sim Racers Group F4 fixed race around Lime Rock. So that's a good one if you want to tune in for that after we're done here. Wednesday night, of course, the Street Nights Racing around Road Atlanta at 7 o'clock Eastern. And then 10 o'clock Eastern, the Sim Racers Group F3 fix. You'll be on that broadcast, won't you, Tom?
Not this season, but maybe I'll pop in.
Not this. Okay. And they're at Magello. And then Sunday is the Ray Esports Summer Series around Mo Sports. Starts at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then we're right back here on Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern with the American Muscle Series around Mid-Ohio. So you can get your week filled with some great iRacing leagues here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. All you got to do is click on that subscribe button and notification bell to know every time we go live. And we still got more series that are currently on break, and they will be making a return here soon. Tom, thank you so much for your efforts tonight. Ron, you did all right. And thank you to all of you who were watching at home. This has been the American Muscle Series. We will say good night, and we'll see you next week from Mid-Ohio.